Hey y'all, hey, Girl Morgan Renee. Alright, so coming in for the second time today for another reading from the story time with more of my trying to sleep in a bed that you made, trying to get through the book. It's a thick one and some other ones I want to get to. So we're in chapter 11 and the quote goes, a long way from that little matchbox in Queens. 1980, White Plains, New York. Go on, pick her up. You're not an official auntie until she spits up on you, so you may as well get it over with. Pat hesitated. An auntie? During her pregnancy, Gail kept Pat updated with progress reports. They spoke more in 7 months than they had been in the last several years, but Pat always hung up feeling detached. Vanessa Josephine Hillard was born right after the New Year. Pat sent a silvery-plated piggy bank, but she couldn't bring herself to visit. She had had a wicked case of the flu as an excuse. Then she was knee-deep in the spring semester, but school was out. Vanessa was sitting up, and Gail threatened never to speak to Pat if she didn't get there soon. And sometimes Pat wondered if that was such a bad idea. Gail had gotten the life she always wanted with the husband, the house, and now a baby. Pat was happy for her, but this was Gail's life and Gail's family again, and Pat had the nagging feeling she'd always be the one left with no chair whenever the music stopped. Then Gail called, and Pat heard Vanessa gurgling in the background. It hit her that Gail, who used to momming her dolls for hours when they were kids, actually had a daughter. It seemed amazing and wonderful, and Pat got a power urge to see this little girl, so she gave in and went to Westchester. You act like there's something to be scared of. Pat rubbed Vanessa's cheek, and the baby treated her to a gummy grin that gave Pat the courage to hold her. She was surprised by how warm and moist Vanessa felt through the terry cloth stretching. Ramsey bought everything blue because he was so sure she was a boy. We had to take it all back, and I'm still not sure he's over it, but he says he is. She's beautiful, Gail. On cue, milky spit dribbled from the baby's mouth. Auntie Pat wiped the sour spit with a clean diaper. In an also whisper, she sang, and when you wake, you'll have some cake and 5 or 6 little horses. What's that? Gail asked. Myra used to sing it to me. A strong tug from a lonely place deep inside yanked Pat off balance. Here, you better take her. Let's finish the rest of the tour. Gail had described the house ad nauseum, which Pat took with a grain of salt, but the handsome two-door lived up to the coming attractions. The lawn was Crayola green and plush as carpet, with precisely groomed hedges to mark the borders and flower beds down the walk, and the idea that all this belonged to Gail blew Pat's mind. I wanted something lighter and more modern, but Ramsey said deep colors and oriental carpets looked classier. He insisted we get a decorator who agreed with him. I'm busting my hump in college, and she's talking about damn decorators. Pat followed her into the living room, wresting a creeping resentment. No plastic covers. You know Mama said we should get some with Vanessa and all. Ramsey informed her this furniture doesn't have to last forever. When it wears out, he'll buy some more. Uh-huh. Pat trailed along, hearing what Ramsey liked, thought, did, and said until it came out her ears. When they returned to the sleek white kitchen, Gail put Vanessa in the high chair, and the baby chewed on a rattle and gurgled in the light, streaming through French doors that led to the patio. I wish it was warmer so we could go out by the pool. Gail spooned strained chicken, squash, and peas into a section dish. Pool. Right. Pat wanted a cigarette in a serious way. I've gotten an internship this summer at Comstock Gravitt Green. They're one of the biggest ad agencies in the business. I thought you were going to be a doctor. Gail retrieved the rattle from the floor where Vanessa promptly threw it again. I told you I changed my mind a long time ago. Add biochem and anatomy and physiology, I realized I didn't give a shit what the thigh bone was connected to. No cursing, Auntie Pat, Gail admonished, and pulled a chair up to the baby. Right. I switched majors sophomore year. If you ever listen to me, you know. Anyway, I asked your mom if I could stay in Queens for the summer. Pat leaned against the butcher block kitchen island, just like in St. Albans, planted lines and window sills, but there were no cuttings and jelly jars here, nothing taking root, just perfect, full-grown plants. I know. She told me when I went to see Daddy last week. You what? I go to the cemetery every month on the 15th because his birthday was the 15th. Ramsey makes fun of me, but I don't care. Pat had lots to say on that, like, if you'd been home when you should have, you wouldn't be feeling so guilty, and all the grave visiting in the world won't change that, but she didn't. For a minute, she considered telling Gail about Turner, but there was no point since she didn't know what that meant yet herself, if anything. All she had right now was a scrapbook of everything she could find on Turner Hughes and the intention to make something of herself so that one day, maybe she'd be in a position to tell him she was his daughter. At that point, it would be obvious she was nothing like Verna, that Pat was someone he could be proud to accept. Gail will probably tell me to send him some sappy Father's Day card, and then he'll welcome me with open arms. Right. After lunch, Gail put the baby down for a nap and put a roast she'd been marinating into the oven. Pat watched in amazement as she washed broccoli and shaped triangles of dough into crescent rolls ready to bake. Gail barely made cereal at home. So, do you like all this? It's what you always wanted. What kind of question is that? This is the best thing that ever happened to me. It's like Marcus never existed. I love Ramsey and Vanessa. We have a great life, and Ramsey says it's only going to get better. He says I'm his lucky charm. The speech came too quickly and straight from the can, but Pat didn't press the issue. An hour before Ramsey was due home, Gail fluffed sofa pillows, set the table with flower placemats and napkins, and put the mail by Ramsey's plate. The important mail, like bills and stuff, go to the office, Gail explained. Like I care. Pat already knew too much about the routine of the Hillier house. She followed upstairs, where Gail changed from slacks and a sweater to a blue and white pin dot drop waist dress, heels and hose, and freshened makeup. I thought you looked nice before. Ramsey likes to see both of us looking pretty, even though I'm still fat. Gail pivoted in the full-length mirror. I'm going to puke. Whatever it is, it's Harley and Oink, Gail. She looked as slim as always. They headed for Vanessa's Fantasy Fairyland nursery, where Gail got the baby up. She wasn't through with her nap yet, so getting her dressed was a struggle. You do this every day? Uh-huh. Yes. Ramsey works hard, so I like to make it nice for him at home. Gail, what do you do for money? She'd been dying to ask the question, and now seemed as good a time as any. Ramsey gives me all I need, and I have credit cards. What do you think I do? His money is our money. No, it's his money. You get an allowance. It wouldn't be me. The front door opened, keys rattled. Where are my girls? Oops, I'm late. Gail grabbed the baby and headed for the foyer. Late for what? Pat followed downstairs, where she found Ramsey kissing Gail. It looked so strange. I always thought she'd be with Marcus. Pat wasn't even sure Gail and Marcus were right for each other, whatever that meant, but she always pictured them together. I wonder what he's up to. Pat offered Ramsey her usual firm handshake, which he seemed to take as a challenge. You're the one with the big career plans. Gonna be a doctor, right? Career, yes. Doctor, no. Ramsey wasn't listening. He played with Vanessa for about 30 seconds while Gail went to the kitchen and returned with iced tea, which she gave Ramsey in exchange for the baby. It was like a well-rehearsed ritual that Pat thought she shouldn't be seeing. Ramsey excused himself and went upstairs, and Gail's next move was back to the kitchen to feed the baby and complete dinner. He likes to shower when he gets home, so I get Vanessa taken care of and the food hot, so when he comes down, we're ready to eat. Gail sounded proud of the routine she'd worked out. The whole process gave Pat the creeps. Vanessa wasn't interested in her dinner, and as soon as Gail spooned it in, she spit it out. Then she squeezed a handful of carrots into her hair and wailed the whole time Gail tried to clean her up. Pat watched the pots while Gail, who was getting flustered, attended to the mess. Pat could hear Ramsey trot downstairs and take his seat in the dining room. He opened mail and whistled like a bird without a care, while Gail brought the food in, served his plate, and set the baby in her mahogany dining room high chair. Pat was outdone by the dinner dance. She ate and searched for a neutral topic of conversation, but she couldn't find anything to say to them. Besides, Gail was busy hanging on Ramsey's every bite. Then Ramsey started in. He complained the roast was too done, the rolls were doughy, and Gail looked crestfallen. My baby's not the best cook in the world, Ramsey patted Gail's hand. What are you, a damn food critic? I think dinner tastes great. Be civil, Pat. I don't know how you do it with Vanessa and all. Pat's free hand was balled in a fist on the table. Some days it's really hard, but I couldn't do what you do either. Ramsey, she got herself an internship at the biggest ad agency in New York. Internship? You say you weren't going to be a doctor. It's not a medical internship. I'll be... Nightingale, give me some hot sauce, will you? Gail went to the kitchen. Your friend's done all right for herself. This is a long way from that little matchbox in Queens. Ramsey pushed away from the table and nodded as he surveyed his domain. There's a pool, you know. Pat wanted to throw daggers. Gail returned and presented Ramsey the Tabasco. Pat, Mama fell in love with this place as soon as she saw it. Just then, Vanessa flung her rattle and it landed in Gail's glass with a splash. Ramsey frowned. As high as my phone bill to Queens is every month, it'd be cheaper to move Loretta in here. Then there'd be somebody else to keep an eye on that baby. Oh, are you planning to go to work, Gail? Ramsey stopped mid-shake, set the bottle down, and leveled an indignant look at Pat. My wife won't ever need to work. I'll see to that. Vanessa wanted out of her high chair, and she whined and wiggled. Can't you keep her quiet? Ramsey grumbled. Pat was ready to stand on the table and ask who died and made him king, but Gail shot her a leave-it-alone look, so she pushed food around on her plate while Gail tended to her daughter. While Ramsey finished eating, he gathered the mail and went to the den. Pat wanted to cheer. She helped clear the dishes and asked Gail to call a cab because she was ready to go before she really said something out of line. Ramsey can take you to the train, or you can stay. No, really, a cab is fine. Pat didn't even know when the next train was, but she'd rather wait at the station than risk another go-round with Gail's husband. She tried to like him. They met under funky circumstances, but she had planned to wipe the slate clean. If Aunt Loretta could accept him, Pat could at least try. From the word go, he was on her wrong side. When the taxi beeped, Pat hugged Vanessa for a long moment. You act like you'll never see her again. Deep down, Pat knew it would be a while before she did. Don't be silly. I gotta go. The meter's running. Some of us aren't rich yet. She handed Vanessa back, gave Gail a quick squeeze, and was out the door. Over the summer, Pat saw Gail and the baby a few times. Gail would stop by and say Alv was on the way to the cemetery or drive out to bring her mother up for a visit. Gail tried to get Pat to come, but she was too busy on the job. At least that's what she said. Pat's internship was exciting and nonstop, and at the end of the summer, her supervisor at Comstock Gravitt Green took her aside, told her they liked her, and strongly suggested there be a position waiting at CGG after graduation. Pat couldn't believe it. Knowing at the beginning of senior year that she'd already had an offer from a top agency would take the pressure off. She'd hardly seen Althea all summer, aside from an occasional shared elevator, but Pat ventured up to her office and asked what she thought it meant. It means you have a job if you want it. Don't think they say it to everybody because they're not that nice, and if you're smart, you'll get yourself a counter offer so they have to pay you more. They chatted long enough for Pat to ask Althea if she was planning to vacation on the vineyard. I keep in touch with the Littlefield sisters. You remember Dorothea and Minnie, blue hair and matching wardrobes? Anyway, they invited me up, but I can't go. There's not a thing on that island that interests me that I can't find somewhere else, Althea said, dismissing the idea. Pat figured she should drop the subject, but curiosity wouldn't let her. So, what happened with you and Turner Hughes? Althea entwined her fingers and laid her hands down on the desk. Turner Hughes has a whole lot of money and a whole lot of power when I was with him, but he never let me forget it. That got tired in a hurry. Pat didn't know why, but what Althea said annoyed her, so she gathered her papers and left the office. Pat didn't see the Hillers again until Christmas, and she only went then because she couldn't think of an excuse not to. The house looked like a Yuletide spectacular on the MGM back lot. Garlands, wreaths, and red velvet bows decked the halls, doors, and every window. The towering Douglas fir, glittering with lights and decorations, was surrounded by enough toys to last Vanessa until puberty. Pat and Ramsey got into it when her present for Vanessa was opened, a plastic airplane on wheels. That's no kind of gift for a girl, Ramsey scowled. What does that mean? She can ride on it, push it around. I saw a little girl playing with one in the store, and she didn't want to let it go. I don't care what you saw. That's a boy's toy. And why is that? Because only boys are supposed to grow up and fly airplanes? I suppose you like it better if I got her a baby carriage. Gail tried to stay neutral and referee, but it was clear to Pat which side of the fence her friend was on. Finally, Aunt Loretta told them it was the Lord's birthday and there would be no more fussing. Pat and Ramsey started arguing, but they glared at each other like sworn enemies. If those are the house rules, I need to stay out of this house because I'm not going to bite my tongue off just to keep Gail's man happy. She married this asshole, but I don't have to like him. When Pat woke up on New Year's Eve, the sky was gray with the promise of snow. 1981 was going to be an important year, the real beginning of her life. Once in a while, she wondered if she made the right decision about medical school, but she was ready to stop studying and live. Nobody with a good sense and a place to be was on campus, but Pat decided it was exactly how she wanted how to start the year, alone with enough quiet to hear herself think. So when the phone rang, she was surprised. Don't you ever leave school? Marcus? He was the last person she expected to hear from. I called Queens and got your number from Miss Saunders. What you doing tonight? I don't know, Marcus. Good. I'm headed back to Florida, and I'll stop on my way down. Did you hear me invite you? Did you hear me ask? Ask? Marcus Carter, did I hear you say A-S-K? What happened to A-K-S? You don't have to be in college to learn some shit, Miss Ivy League smartass. Listen, I want to ask your opinion about something since you do more reading than anybody I know. I won't even be around long enough to get in your little bit of air. You already are. Don't blame me because you need dandruff shampoo. Now you going to give me directions? She hadn't talked with him since the funeral, and then barely for 2 minutes. If he'd taken that baseball scholarship, he'd be graduating too. Damn, what they feed you to make you grow like that? Marcus arrived a little after 4, carrying 2 grocery bags and a tool leather satchel. His black cowboy brim had a generous dusting of snow, and the crown nearly brushed the top of the door sill. Bullshitting promises. The black leather trench coat he wore knotted tight, and at the waist heightened his imposing look. Marcus set the bags on the floor. And you, turn around, let me see. You're looking kind of slim and sassy in your jeans there, Miss Reed. Okay. Okay, so she hadn't talked to him. So, okay. Damn, what they feed you to make you grow like that? Marcus arrived a little after 4, carrying 2 grocery bags and a tooled leather satchel. His black cowboy brim and a generous dusting of snow, and the crown nearly brushed the top of the door sill. Bullshit and promises. Okay, she was talking to him. Okay, I thought he was asking her that. The black leather trench coat he wore knotted tight at the waist, heightened his imposing look. Marcus set the bags on the floor. And you, turn around. Let me see. You're looking kind of slim and sassy in your jeans there, Miss Reed. You're probably in love with some dude who wears tweed clothes and smokes a pipe. Marcus, they don't teach you to step back before the balls hit you in the head. Sometimes I let them hit me just to show what a mean mofo I really am. Marcus grinned, and that dimple winked at her, and he took off his hat and coat, dug around the grocery bag, and opened 2 bottles of beer. What they got, around 6 black folks in this town? I stopped at a store and they acted like I was a damn bandit. Suddenly, stock boy is straightening potato chips and cans and cream corn wherever I happen to be. He handed Pat a beer and sprawled in her armchair. Yeah, well, welcome to University Village, where you're always the exception and not the rule. She saluted him with her bottle, straddled her desk chair, and took a swallow. Besides, you look like the damn Cisco kid. What's with the hat? Just call me Dark Rider. I always wear some crazy hat. It's an image thing. I dig them, and it gives people something to talk about. I gotta stand out from the crowd every way I can. I thought you do that on the field. That ain't all. I figured out it's not just numbers. I got decent numbers, and I've been up and down the show a couple of times. Part of it's luck, but somebody's got to retire, get traded, or go broke. Or so broke up he can't hobble around the bases before there's a spot for you. It's like that whatever you do, Marcus, Pat said. Marcus leaned forward, intense, fists clenched. Yeah, but it's not like civil service where the next one in line moves up the ladder. You got to act like you belong. Like you special enough to make a stadium full of people yell your name like they love you more than their mother. You start getting attention in rinky-dink ballparks with clowns running around the bases between innings and kids hanging over the fence asking for autographs. Now, if you give the sports writer something besides boring-ass strikes and runs to write about, showing personality, it makes them happy. Then, management starts to look at you like they got something which makes them feel smart, so they play you more, and finally the agent starts sniffing around, and you almost got yourself a deal. And where are you in the chain of events? Pat had never heard Marcus break it down like this, and she realized he was as driven as she was. Close enough to smell it. Keeps my damn mouth watering all the time. He got a manila envelope out of his satchel and handed it to Pat. That's where the opinion parts come in. Smart stuff. I had an agent offer to rep me. I liked the guy because he talked straight. He was a hotshot defensive end out of UCLA, but he busted up his knee senior year right before the NFL draft. Marcus shook his head. Damn, that must have hurt to get so close. Anyway, he went to law school and became a rep with his big-ass sports management agency, but he just left them to set up his own. The good thing is that he knows what it's like to be a player. He's really okay people for a white dude, and the way I figure it, he's just starting out, so he's hungry. I am too, and 2 hungry people working together got a better chance of finding something to eat. But I want you to read the papers and make sure I'm not missing something important. You need your own lawyer, Marcus. I've never looked at anything like this before. I know a lawyer in Florida. I'll see him when I get down there, but I want somebody I can trust, who knows the ways things should be, to read them. Because you'll tell me if you think it's stupid or what questions to ask without making me feel dumb. I tried asking Booker T. All he kept saying was, you going to give somebody 10% of your money? For what? Give me 10% if you want to give something away. Shit, I can't make him understand nothing. Pat felt honored that he trusted her, like when they were kids. She pulled out the papers, reached for her cigarettes. Don't tell me you sucking tar sticks. Keep my hands and my mouth busy. I'd rather see you eat. Damn, maybe you're not as smart as I thought. Hush, Marcus. Don't you baseball players chew tobacco and spit all the time? Not me. Makes your teeth look like you've been drinking motor oil and your breath stinks. He reached for the paper bag. You want a sandwich or something to put in your mouth? Never mind. Pat dropped the pack and went through the contract while Marcus nosed around. He picked up a thick volume from the top of her bookcase. Each one, teach one. Damn, you read this whole thing? He weighed the book in his right hand. Yep, cover to cover. Hey, your name is in here. You remember Miss Cook from junior high? She hired me to help her finish it this summer. I ran away because this summer you went to Erie, wasn't it? Pat finished reading. Then they went over the contract together. When she pointed to a paragraph she thought was unclear, Marcus took the pages to make a note in the margin, and his hand brushed hers. His skin was rough, but like flint on a match. It caused a spark in Pat, and she got up and moved around to keep it from catching. When they were done, Pat handed him another beer to open for her. So where are you going to ring in the new year? I got nothing planned. Mind you, I could have been lots of places with some very talented young ladies. Talented, huh? That mean they play piano? Not necessarily, but they're mellifluous. But they're mellifluous in other ways. Mellifluous? I gotta look that up. Oh yeah, he winked. In any case, y'all think if you're with a man when the clock strikes midnight, it means you got him for the rest of the year. And I don't mean to give nobody the wrong impression. Is that right? Yeah, it's right. I need some TLC sometime, and I know where I can get it. Pat looked at him with a smirk. Don't get me wrong. I don't dog nobody. I just don't make promises I know I won't keep. I can't let nothing and nobody tie me down because I got things to do. Marcus rubbed his chin and grinned at her. And yourself? Anybody around to take care of business? As much business as I got time to take care of. What am I going to say? My love life sucks. Pity ain't pretty. I get what I need, and getting back to this contract, will this get you what you need? I've seen it before, Pat. A guy sets an agent, and all of a sudden he's playing in a different league. And if it doesn't happen, I'll worry about that some other time. Then I think you should trust your guts. It doesn't look like the contract sells you into slavery. If you think the guy will work for you, go for it. Marcus opened a beer and clinked Pat's bottle to going for it. They ate heroes, drank beer, and talked like they did this every week. Pat said things she hadn't said to anybody, like how she lied about her family. That's weird, Pat. It's like nobody who knows you really knows you. Yeah, and they feel a whole lot better about me if I told them about Werner, right? And my father. She almost blurted out the Turner Hughes story, just to see if it made any sense coming out her mouth than it did swimming around her head, but she wasn't ready yet. Who the fuck knows about my father? They were quiet for a while. Gail still with that greasy son of a bitch? Why you call him that? Something ain't right about it. Yeah, I don't like him much either. How come you don't say nothing to her? You're her friend. She didn't ask me when she married him. What am I supposed to say now? Think your husband's an asshole? Marcus shrugged, crumpled the foil from the sandwich, and banked it off the desk and into the trash. Anyway, this is the last night of the year. What are we doing in this sorry-ass room? We should be out somewhere raising hell. Not in this town. Hell won't raise here. It's a law. What time is it? 11:45. We got at least go outside for midnight. No disrespect, but this room is not the first thing I want to see next year. They put on coats and went out into the snow that was past their ankles and still falling in slow, fat flakes. Let's go to that big street that leads to the campus. Something must be jumping off there. I swear there isn't. We can at least go see. Marcus walked quickly. Pat, giddy from the beer, stopped and opened her mouth wide so she could feel the lacy cold flakes land on her tongue and melt. Wait up, Marcus. Some of us don't have stilts for legs. Come on, girl. Act like you got lead in your butt. Oh, excuse me. This is college. Let me be proper. Lead in your buttocks. You can kiss my buttocks. She flung a hastily made snowball in his direction. Oh, ho. Is this the game? I can play this. Marcus hurled one back that grazed her shoulder. They tossed snow at each other until he had her running for cover. I surrender. I surrender. Pat was laughing so hard her stomach ached. Thought I'd never hear you say that. Come here. I'll get the snow off. You look like Frosty the Snowman. Marcus brushed snow out of her hair, lingering a moment. Then they heard horns and noisemakers echoing in the distance. What time is it? Pat asked. Marcus checked his watch. Midnight, straight up. They were standing so close, Pat broke away and twirled like a top. Happy New Year! Her yell repeated in the night. Happy New Year! Marcus tossed his hat in the air and hollered. They continued out onto the street, his arm around her shoulder, hers at his waist. What's that song people always get drunk and sing on New Year's? Old something or other, he asked. All Lane sing. Pat tried to keep up with him. What the hell does that mean? It's about old friends never forgetting each other. It's a dry-ass song. Pat sang at the top of her lungs. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Marcus howled along. Just as Pat was about to drink a cup of kindness, she saw the squad car pull across the street toward them. Shit. I know that's not part of the song, Marcus said. The officer got out of his car, hand resting on his revolver. What's going on here? He looked Marcus up and down. Where are you headed? What difference does it? Just for a while. I go to school here, Pat said quickly. She could see Marcus was angry, and she wanted this to be over fast. Can I see some ID? We gotta show our identification to walk on the street? What kind of place is this? Let it go, Marcus, she whispered, feeling in her pocket for her student ID. Nah, this is some shit. I could book you for drunk and disorderly and disturbing the peace. We're not drunk, and it's New Year's. We're singing a New Year's song. Or were we singing in the wrong part of town? Pat pushed herself between Marcus and the cop and shoved her car at the officer. He's visiting. We're on our way back to campus. Just needed some air. He pursued the car carefully while Marcus paced. You don't have to tell him nothing. You got a smart-mouthed friend. I could give him some time to learn to keep it shut. Before Marcus could say anything else, Pat turned, grabbed the front of his coat and his, I got $12.50 to my name, and I cannot bail you out with that, so will you please shut up? Marcus yanked out of her grasp and glared at her, his breath escaping in cold, angry clouds, but he stayed silent. The policeman gave Pat her card back. I don't want to see you again tonight. No problem, Pat answered and edged Marcus toward the gate. She checked over her shoulder until the black and white pulled away. Why didn't you just lick his damn boots? Marcus threw his hat on the ground in disgust. And what good is yelling him down going to do? He's got the badge and the gun, so he wins. Tell me you would have said boo if I'd have been some... Tell me he would have said boo if I'd been some preppy motherfucker. I don't know, but this is some stupid shit to get arrested over. Or is that part of your image too? Oh, you don't know? Well, where's your damn head, Patricia? Or did you trade that in for a new one when you got yourself a new family? Shit, I gotta get out of here. He kicked his hat and stormed away. You damn fool. She meant to yell, but it came out a whisper. Pat watched until he got in his car. He swiped snow off the windshield, got in and gunned the motor, then roared past her through a red light and out of sight. Oh, Lord. All right, that's the end of chapter 11. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'll check in again with y'all soon. Peace.